All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the White Eagle Talking Circle, reading of the daily meditations with Native American elders and reflections. My name is Josiah, and I'm an addict.
My name is JC. I'm an addict.
My name is Amanda, and I'm an addict alcoholic in recovery.
Right on, right on. Thank you, too, for joining me today. And, just sticking with culture. Before we do anything, I'd like to pray. So I'll offer up a prayer for us, and we'll jump right into the reading. So I call out because got no best let the gush just say whole best but there. You question my charges. The gush just say whole best. You question my charges. The girl are blagging up to go blag yes about the other such a whole best mama no best let the gush. Who? All right. Well, I will jump right into the reading. The meditations with Native American elders. Fall meditations with Native American elders, November 28th. People say that crisis changes people and turns ordinary people into wiser or more responsible ones. Wilma Mankiller Cherokee. There is a saying, conflict precedes clarity. The medicine world teachings say, in order for something to change, it must first go through a struggle. When a crisis enters our lives, other powers are there to help us. We will learn some lessons. Will I honor and respect this crisis? Great Spirit, if a crisis occurs today, let me learn the lesson of wisdom. Who? And I know for me, like, this was huge. Conflict precedes clarity. Like early on in recovery, I was still in that mind state of like this shouldn't be happening because of this. I'm walking the red road. I'm sober now. This shouldn't be happening, or I shouldn't be feeling this way because of A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. Not really validating my own feelings or validating what I'm going through. So this teaching right here, conflict proceeds clarity. I was like, okay, so there is like the silver lining. Whenever there is a conflict, I gotta look for the silver lining. What's the lesson here? What can I learn? And that really helped me out, especially early on in recovery, because I was so like, I wasn't used to like feeling my feelings and validating my own feelings. So when something came up, I was like, oh, this shouldn't be happening, blah, 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 and just kind of throw a pity party over any kind of conflict that I was going through. So this teaching really helped me to embrace it. It's like, okay, this is happening right now. I got to accept it. What do I have control over? I have control over my own actions, my own thoughts. So what can I do to make this better? Or what can I not do to make this better? Just that balancing of like, how can I navigate this in a good way? So this conflict proceeds clarity is so huge for me, especially early on in recovery. And I still use it today because conflict never stops. There's always gonna be some kind of conflict, some kind of, whether it be small or huge, big, or is some kind of crisis happening. Now I know that I'll be able to get through it because I have tools now. I can deal and feel in a good way. I have people in my corner that I can lean on, I can rely on. So yeah, this teaching right here was probably one of the big ones, especially early on in recovery, really helped me out. But yeah, with that, I'll pass. And I think JC wants to go next. So you got the mic, brother.
I wanted to go next. Okay. I am JC. I'm an addict in recovery. Yeah, I know, man. It's one of those readings that I don't like because it's true. Early on, or before, I used to hear things like, you're gonna go through crises. Crises. Life isn't fair. Things are gonna happen. Life isn't always peaches and cream. And to me, at first, I always thought, well, man, that's such a negative way to look at it. Like, this, why would I even try? Why would I want to do all that if that's all you're gonna say? But the actuality of it is that it's not always like that. Life is great, to be perfectly honest. It's just that, it kind of prepares you to say, hey, you know what? It's not always gonna be the smooth road. But I took it the other way. I took it like the extreme negative side of it. Like, oh man, they just make it sound like this is just gonna be all. Ugh. I was better off drinking. But that being said, that what constitutes a crisis anyway? For some people, it's like, oh man, I lost my phone, and they're just flipping out, acting like they lost an arm. And for other people, it's something, a little more I don't even know what the word I want to use for that is, but it's something bigger than that. And so I know as time goes on, if I lose my phone, I'll be like, damn. But if I, should happen to say lose a loved one, then I'd probably be prepared for that, just as it builds up. At first, I might flip out over losing my car keys or my phone, but eventually I'll learn how to deal with that. So I think it starts small. I think you have to start small and kind of build up that resiliency. And one thing that I'm really learning right now is that I have to validate that. I have to be able to look inside myself and say, hey, I have to go through this process. I can't just say, well, I'm building resiliency, so therefore I should just be tough and handle it. I can handle it now. But that's not the truth. I have to validate those feelings. And what that does because if I don't validate my own feelings, how am I going to help somebody else? How am I going to say, if somebody comes up to me and says, this is how I'm feeling, am I just going to say, well, you know what? You got to build resiliency. You can't be crying around all the time. I say that to myself all the time. That's not a good thing. I have to, like go through that process. I have to be able to grow from it, even though it's uncomfortable. And it's hard, like, when you're going through right in the middle of something, it's hard to know and understand that it's a good thing to see it as a positive thing. But looking back at all those the time when I've lost my phone and I thought, well, I'll get another one, it wasn't always like that. But somewhere along that line, I learned how to deal with that, and that's what that is. But if I reject it, if I keep pushing it out, if I keep saying, well, you know what, I got to be tough, I'm building resiliency, and I don't validate those feelings within myself, then it's going to manifest itself. It might build up. It might, come out in ugly ways. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to learn. It's a tough one to say. I respect and honor this crisis that's in my life, and I don't even like that word crisis. It just makes it sound like, holy cow. But I mean, I guess, they're gonna come, but it's not always like that. It's not even close to always being like that. So anyway, that's all I got. Many a ho.
Who?
Okay, am I on? Yeah, can you hear me? Well, I'm Amanda, and I'm an addict, alcoholic in recovery. So with this reading, what really helps me and what's helped me in my walk is the Wild Variety book itself, and it's got these morning prayers and these evening prayers, and I track those. I do them still to this day. There's some questions in there every morning about gratefulness. Every evening, it asks you to validate your feelings about different different scenarios you've been in during the day. Was you resentful? Did you not like a person? Things like that, and that's what's really helped me to really track and change my perception to what is a crisis, because I was one of those ones that, everything was a crisis. So, you know, like, it's raining, it's a crisis. Not that, oh, it's we're not going to burn up this summer, so, everything. So that's how I kind of learned how to track my behavior and track track how I feel and to completely change. So meditation for me is really huge. Structure is really huge. I smudge every day. I, and the other thing is that, I'm a mom, and I think about that kind of stuff and how I react to things and how I want my children to react. So I think a lot about that. Um, but yeah, that's all I got.
Hey, thank you too for joining me today. Yeah, definitely knowing that, looking for that silver lining. How are we gonna address, how are we gonna respond to the crisis, to the conflict is so huge, especially in recovery, because like in our addiction, we're so highly reactive. And like that was just the norm. To get out of that being reactive and then move towards responding is a process. And I'm still working on that even now, 6 years and some change. I'm still moving towards that responding, leaning more towards that responding, and doing my best not to be reactive, not to react to situations. That is difficult, and it's still, it's gonna be lifelong. But I definitely want to be more responding to individuals, places, circumstances, whatever's going on. I want to respond. So thank you too for joining me today. And we will close with the silent proclamation. To walk the red road is to offer up a silent proclamation. Here the destruction stops. We will heal ourselves. We will heal our wounded relationships. We will heal our children. We will heal our nation. On this day, our future history begins. Ho!